I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother. Today I'm going to show you how to play Wilson and Shep. It's ages 6 and up, 2 to 5 players, and it takes 15 minutes. Let me show you how to play. The goal of the game is to be the player who wins the most of these reward tokens, which you win either by, when it's your turn being Shep, finding the Wilson tile, or if you're Wilson, not having Shep find you. So to begin, whoever most recently saw a sheep gets to be Wilson the wolf, and everybody else closes their eyes. So it's going to be the wolf against everybody else, and then you get to take turns being the wolf. So it doesn't matter if you're not the wolf to begin with, everybody gets a turn. While everybody else has their eyes closed, the player who is Wilson this round will place him on a spot and replace a normal sheep, and this gets placed off to the side, and then they recommend turning a few of these tiles out here so it's not immediately clear which one has been replaced. And then once they have it placed and everything set up, you're supposed to say, "You won't find me," and that's the indicator for everybody else to get to open up their eyes, and they decide where Shep will begin. So we'll say they decide Shep begins here. And now the player who is Wilson gets to trade any two tiles on the board. So we'll say they go ahead and they trade these two here. It does not have to be the wolf tile that they're trading. They can trade any of them. So just because they've traded two tiles doesn't mean that either of these is the wolf. The other players are Shep, and you can either have everybody decide together which spot they're going to move to, or if you have a few players, they can each take a turn. If this was a 4-player game, then the person immediately to the left of the player who is Wilson would get to pick the first move for Shep, if everybody wants to have their own turn. So maybe they go here, and when they go, they flip it over, and you see if it's the sheep or if it's the wolf underneath. And they have up to 8 turns to find the wolf. The wolf, the only criteria for moving these tiles is they can't move the one that the sheepdog is currently standing on. So they can move diagonal tiles or ones that are directly adjacent to each other. So we'll say they move these two this time. And so you can either have everybody decide where they're going to move then, or the next player over if you want everybody to get their own turns. We'll say they move it over here, and it's another sheep. The player who's Wilson can switch tiles that have already been flipped. That's allowed. And then if this player goes here, the next person decides to move here. Another sheep, we'll say they go ahead and move like this. So if you remember, this one is the wolf. So they finally have moved the wolf. They can choose to move on top of a sheep that's already been flipped over, but that counts as one of your turns, and you haven't flipped over another tile here, so that's not usually what you want to do when you're Shep on the sheepdog team. So now they're up to 4 turns. They've been searching, and we'll go ahead and have this player switch these two, and on their 5th turn, they go here, and oh, look, they found Wilson. So then if they find Wilson within 8 turns of flipping over tiles or moving Shep, then each of the players on that team would receive 1 reward token. And then you just flip over the sheep, and the next player, you take out Wilson, put back in the regular sheep, and you continue to go. So the next player, we'll say the next one clockwise, gets to have their turn playing as Wilson, and everybody else plays against them. And it's the same rules. If the person who was Wilson, they were the one that nobody found them over the course of that, then they would have been the only one to get the reward token. And you just keep on going until everyone's had a turn. Officially, in a 2 to 3 player game, the game ends when each player has been Wilson twice. And with 4 to 5 players, just the game ends once all of the players have been Wilson once. So that's how to play Wilson and Shep. The target demographic for this is it's a young family game. The rule complexity is very easy. How competitive is medium. You have things where kids are listening to the area of the table where the tile's being placed down. That's the Wilson, the wolf tile. And there's a little bit of opportunity for bluffing and some deception when you're moving around the tiles and trying to mislead them as they're trying to find the wolf tile, which, depending on the kid, they can really enjoy and make the game that much more fun for them. And it helps. There would be some room for hurt feelings there, but because it changes who gets to play the Wilson the Wolf character, that seems to alleviate, and everybody really enjoys getting to hide the wolf and see if the sheepdog can find it. The replay value is medium. It's a fun game to get out upon occasion, and similar games. It is out of print, but it is so similar. Is Legend of the Wendigo is kind of a different type of memory game where you have this Wendigo tile that the campers are disappearing in the night, and you move the Wendigo tile around and they're trying to figure out which tile you've been moving. That's the Wendigo in disguise. So it's very similar to this, just out of print. And then also Spot It. If you like the Spot It games, this seems like something along the same level, but just with very different gameplay and fun to play. So check out Wilson and Shep. We've been enjoying it a bunch, and thank you so much, and I'll see you next time from Game Like a Mother.